Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. Earlier today, Sean and I did the morning cap, an impromptu morning cap, and it looked like a lot of people liked the mornings. Or was it something that happened in Lakerland? Sean, was there a trade tonight, or yesterday, or today? Yes, there
Yes.
was. Yes, there
Yes.
was. And I'm gonna let Gerald kind of make the announcement since he kind of was left out this morning due to him getting rest because apparently
All I'll
Gerald.
say is this, Joe. Okay, I am out of the office about 15 days in a year. And wouldn't you know, 2 of those 15 days, the Dan Hurley stuff hits. That was on Hawaii time, so you can't give me slack on that. And this one, just thought sleep in, everything's good, everything's fine, nothing to happen. And sure enough, the Lakers trade for a rotation player. There you go.
Okay, so let me ask.
I love how people are just like upping this more than what it actually is. It's
Let
just
me because
they're like, put the
because
ring on it
nothing's
now for the
happened.
Lakers.
Nothing's happened in 10 months with this team. This is the first time they've done anything.
But is that what's
Anything.
going on in social media? Like everybody thinks that DFS is the key. Like we're gonna win the ring now. That's funny.
This is standard
I've
procedure
heard
for
this.
Laker fans, guys.
I've read
This
it.
is standard procedure. However, the one thing that you want to make sure of here, the benefit in what happened today is the fact that the Lakers got rid of a player in D'Angelo Russell that they don't have to roll their eyes after shots, after games, after quarters anymore. He was abysmal this year, and I don't think anybody could wait again for him to start shooting well maybe next year. It's over. The D'Angelo Russell experiment is over. They tried it a second time, and they still traded him back to Brooklyn. I hope he has a good career there. I hope he has a good life. He's not a bad guy, but it's official as of today. D'Angelo Russell has been traded with Maxwell Lewis, who was also a horrible situation in itself in terms of a selection a couple of years back, and then 3 second-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith and some guy named, what was his name?
Shake Milton.
Shake, because no one can have a normal name in the NBA anymore. Shake Milton. Shake Milton, whom, by the way, guys, since you're mentioning what's going on the internet, you have Laker fans, and I'm sorry to say that my boys and my girls at Lakers ball, they're you know how when you go on YouTube, and I always call it the Luke Walton videos. You know where I'm getting with this? How if you go to Luke Walton videos, what do you think you're going to see in the video? You're going to see all the good stuff Luke Walton did, right? That's how it works. That's the beauty of editing. So now all you're seeing is, hey, guys, this splash or flash or what was his name again? Shake, Flash, whatever. Shake Milton is supposed to be some guy that might help the Lakers. He has game. Oh, wow. He had 18 points the other night and 13 assists, and maybe he's going to be better than D'Lo. Oh, he's a poor man's John Morant. Like, just you're looking at these posts and you're just sitting there going,
they're trying to squint hard, Joe.
Dude, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, please, can you ease up on
There's there is a toxic over enthusiasm when it comes to getting.
He's a journeyman for a reason.
Flotsam and jetsam in trades.
I like him. Yeah.
It's okay.
I don't even know who the hell he is.
Okay.
And I follow the NBA. So how the hell, if Brooklyn didn't want him, why the hell is he going to all of a sudden be,
he's played for several teams, Joe,
already.
And Sean called it already earlier today, and I watched the show earlier today. Great job, by the way, both you guys. Pat yourselves on the back. You did a great job, and Jamie too. Not a good defender at all, but can hit 39% right around there from 3. I know Dorian Finney-Smith is 42% from three, which Joe, as he says, the lights in LA bring it down by 5 to 7%. So we'll see how good it becomes then. But we get a perimeter defender, but 10-point scorer in Brooklyn shouldn't light the world on fire. Let's put things in perspective. But I do like the fact that they gained $3 million. That's, to me, is a big key right there, that they gained a little bit more flexibility on the cap. That's the big deal there. And they did get, again, a defender, because Rui cannot defend wings. And DFS can at least provide some resistance against wings.
And you got a player who's also extension eligible as well. So there's flexibility with the player's contracts you acquire as well.
Yeah.
Well, what's ahead now is the Lakers now can look into a couple of their mistakes, and the closure is there. They've closed the second overall pick in 2015 that at that time had the highest percentage of non-bust between who were drafted that year. Karl Anthony Towns was first, Okafor was third, and Porzingis was fourth. That was the quadruple kind of back and forth on who's going to be what. And what ended up happening is the first pick lived up to that pick. The other three, one became an all-star, another became an all-star, but not really the franchise-shifting or franchise-changing player. And, of course, Joel Okafor was born a little too late for his skill set in the NBA. The Lakers, in terms of a financial situation, if you look at it from the financial, they took $30,000 below and turned it into 3.5 plus the 30. That right there, in terms of a business move, is good. You get a player back in DFS whom I wasn't really high on and didn't understand why people were going nuts over. However, he can be the Vanderbilt now for this team with better offense, because I'm pretty sure at this point that I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be.
And you're saying the bar's pretty low with the offense on Vanderbilt.
Well, think about it.
We're
so
going
everyone,
from a 4 to a
everyone
10-point
is
score.
Everyone is going nuts about Vanderbilt. Everyone's like, well, he can play defense and he's got that skill set. And we saw games 2 years ago where he was effective there. However, he's not healthy enough. If he's not healthy enough, then he's useless. So now you have a guy that apparently is the only guy in the NBA this year, I don't know if this statistic is correct, that's guarded ones and fives, 1 through 5. Is that true, guys, or is that just somebody yapping on the internet?
They just say he can guard 1 through 5.
Are they reaching?
Technically, Joe. The way they switch the NBA.
No. Hold on, Joe. No. That's according to Spectrum Sport Synergy Sports, Joe. They're a legitimate.
I understand, but in today's switching defenses, Magic Man, they end up playing 1 through 5, and anyways. How many times do we see D'Lo get caught with a center down low? Technically, he's trying to guard that center, but still, again, with the switching
his pie is mostly 3 and 4s.
DFS is a more effective fit on this
Gerald,
team.
That's not a strategic guarding philosophy. That's either bad switching or the opposing team taking advantage of.
It happened several times.
Instincts.
Reeves or D'Lo was always getting caught underneath with a big, and it's still happening. But if DFS is out there, he would be much better as far as in a switching defense, because he can guard several different opponents. Yeah, again, 7-footers, he's not going to be able to play against. But if you got anyone from 6'8" to even the point guards, he can play effectively out there on the defensive end.
Yeah,
and if he could still hit 40% threes, that's a bonus, Magic.
Absolutely, Joe. I like the fact that I personally think that they also did this to help Max Christie, to have another perimeter defender around. I don't think his defense is going to go anywhere, but this is just another indication that they the kind of defender they're looking for. If you play to Phoenix, if you play to Minnesota, if you play to Houston, they can switch on the perimeter. Christie and Finney-Smith can switch. Now, will it be effective? We'll eventually find out, but at least the options are there, Gerald, for JJ Redick to explore a mixture now of offense and defense.
I know Stone Hansen on his Twitter at @report_court was not exactly thrilled with today's trade. If you want to go read there again, I think it just puts in a player who can defend much better than what the Lakers have a lot of different options right now, but still not lighting the world on fire. This team is still not a whole lot better at the end of the day than it was beginning of the day. The only thing I worry about is I'm happy that they've got the flexibility, but does D'Lo's expiring $20 million, could that have been a part of a bigger deal for a number 3 guy? That's the question I have, because now that they don't have it, you start looking harder at using Rui or Austin Reeves in a trade now.
Let's look at that from the outside. Don't look at it from the Lakers' sunglasses. Who's going to pick up that contract in return to someone of relevance to this team? Who would have? What are the chances of getting Sacramento or Charlotte, which is really the only 2 areas that we've discussed that have a third star that would work? Yet, what are the likelihoods of those 2 teams trading those players to the Lakers, and why? Especially considering there's better packages out there. The Lakers likely did this trade because I'm looking at it from a mental standpoint. I'm repeating this from this morning, but since Gerald's here now and a few others who weren't here this morning, it's frustrating when you have a guy that's got the skill set of D'Angelo Russell, and he played really well in the second half of last year and didn't play well in the playoffs, obviously, but there was only 5 games there, so you couldn't really get any kind of sense really of anything there either. But he played well enough last year to warrant another contract, which we were in support of because we didn't want to lose that money. And then the Lakers didn't do anything this summer, barely did anything in the draft other than wait for Connect to drop. And now he's not helping. If he had played the way he played in the second half of last year, this year, the Lakers probably win 3 or 4 more games. And look at the difference. If this parity in the NBA is now 3 to 4 to 5 games. It can make a difference between being an 8 seed or a 4 seed. Hell, last year, 5 games separated the Lakers from the 8 to the 4. That's nuts. Even when there was winning parity in the West in the 2000s, where a lot of teams were winning 50 games, even the 8 seeds, it was never like this. It is. There's so much that's changed the last few years in how to prepare for the end. And right now, I'm starting to get a feeling that if the Lakers can luck into one more trade that could fulfill one major issue, because they really have 2, score and a big. They're not going to be able to solve both now for sure. But if they can solve one of those 2, then really solve it, like the center that they get, if they get like a Kessler in some way, then, and even we don't even know if that's going to be a positive. We don't know. The guys.
You're talking about what you were talking about earlier today was addition by subtraction.
Yeah, the psyche of the team was done with D'Angelo Russell. We can't keep watching him brick wide open shots when the offense was run perfectly. That is probably the most frustrating part about that is they get the ball down the court. They get the ball where they want to go down in the post. The post comes out to the 3-point line again. They go around, and then they're able to get guys to commit on the defensive end. All of a sudden, they have a wide open D'Angelo Russell brick. That guy has to make that shot. That guy makes that shot. It's an easy score. It lessens the headache. It lessens all the perspiration and the overall energy that they have to spend for 48 minutes, especially when you have LeBron there and you have guys that can't play up and down all game. They just can't. Even AD can't do it, even though he's still young. You get that out of the way. Now you have DFS who's going to put – now you have him as the Vanderbilt role on defense with a little bit better offense than Vando. That's his role. The issue now is you're going to have to rely on LeBron and AR to be the point guards the rest of the way unless you get another point guard. And that's where they're at right now.
I know everybody's talking about Markelle Fultz, and we all know Markelle Fultz doesn't shoot. Magic Man, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the highest outputs for assists in a single game this season was done by someone who only had a short stay on the New Orleans Pelicans named Elfrid Payton, if I'm not correct on that.
Yes, you are correct, Gerald.
And he is available, I believe, because he was waived shortly thereafter due to a numbers crunch.
Yes, he was.
Availability. I'm sorry. The availability is starting to become a little bit more open now. There's news out of the NBA Central that players like Valanciunas, Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk are going to be available for second-round picks.
I was joking that Malcolm Brogdon would get injured reading one of the comments in our chat. He's never healthy. He's absolutely never healthy. If you get him, he's a big risk. I mean, all these guys, Joe, Robert Williams, he's a big injury risk as well. I mean, you got to take a chance. I understand that, but you start giving up those firsts. And
you got to take a chance. I understand that, but
okay, I hear myself who's got me on now? Somebody's got me on. I know I like the sound of my voice, but I mean,
who's got me on there? Somebody's got me on. I know
okay.
I like the sound of my voice.
Magic, is that
what's going on here?
That's Joe.
Where?
It's you.
It's not me. It's you.
I'm hearing stereo me.
It's you.
I mean,
oh wow, it is me.
Yeah, I don't even think my wife random stereo me. My goodness,
it's you, me. So it's me. It's me. It's you, me.
Okay, there you go. But
how you doing?
Getting back.
That's why I specifically put myself on mute to make sure you expose
don't hear
yourself.
Stereo me. No worries. But I'm just wanted to say, I mean, all these guys that are out there are going to have some baggage. It's just, what are you going to pay for it? I know you guys talked about the 3 second-round picks. It is contingent on that first one, on the 2027 second-round pick. If Utah doesn't get the Lakers' first-round pick in 2027, then they get that second-round pick ahead of Brooklyn on that deal, just to let you know, because it is a top 4 protected pick in 27 for that first pick. So just wanted to let people know that. So it is most likely the odds are going to be 3 second-round picks.
I also just wanted to say, give my 2 cents worth here. I heard Joe and some of our subs shout out to everybody in the chat right now.
Almost there, guys. 17
Thanks
more.
For the sport.
All right,
Joe.
Appreciate it.
Joe, turn it off.
As soon as he found that button, you knew it's just like a light went off.
Oh my God, yeah, it's like a dog with a bone. Anyway, Joe and some of our subs were talking about Utah and Danny Ainge, and Honestly, Gerald, Utah is just not a viable trade partner for the Lakers. Like, if say you're Utah right now, yes, there's a lot of call taking in calls about your availability of certain people. But Gerald, they also want to get Jordan Clarkson off their payroll, and he's hurt. He is an old veteran now. Jordan Clarkson, drafted in the second round by the Lakers, is now dealing with plantar fasciitis. That being said, in order for them to really get rid of that contract, which is what Danny Ainge wants to do, they will have to absorb a bad one, which is like, so we're going to basically say, okay, you want to trade Jordan Clarkson back to the Lakers? Then you take Gabe Vincent or you take Jared Vanderbilt, and you're also taking JHS, and we get like a second round pick in return. So I don't think there's a lot of viability there or logic for Utah to deal with somebody like the Lakers.
I just popped up on the screen. If you take a look out there, everyone, so you know exactly what was going on. I know Trevor Lane, he had to correct himself. The Lakers do not have an extra spot on the roster. It was a 2-for-2 trade. And as of right now, you see it. They still have the roster listed there as far as the components. As far as the individual roster pieces there. Shake Milton, hopefully he can become a roster player as far as someone in the rotation that can play consistent minutes. I think that's the best case scenario, that DFS becomes the defender we need, and then Shake Milton becomes a rotation player that we can count on coming off the bench. Am I worried, like a lot of other people have been talking about, how Dalton Connect's minutes will be impacted by this? If Dalton's shooting the lights out, he doesn't have to worry, but he cannot regress. He cannot struggle now. Because there's another guard that might be willing to take his shots for him. Because Shake Milton is also someone who likes his shots, likes to take shots, and will take those shots if given the opportunity. He's not consistent. He never has been, which is why he's floated around the league. But and of course his defense is very suspect. But as a guy that can get you some buckets and get you some offense, he does have that capability from time to time. So we'll look at it from there. But if you see, as far as the draft assets we have that's listed out there, that's what we still have left. We did, again, we're $3.5 million. This was a big key for me. We're now $3.5 million away from the second tax apron. So if worse comes to worse, I know that Trevor Lane, I heard him say that something about, if you want to waive and stretch a Christian Wood or something. I still will not waive and stretch any of these expiring deals. I don't think that would be really smart. But if you want to, you have that capability now to do so. But I'd still like to say, again, 3.5 is a little bit more space, a little bit more room to work with. You still have to follow within the rules. As you see, if you go to apron rules, they cannot acquire a player using more than 100% traded player exception. They cannot aggregate contracts at the post-trade salaries if they're above the second apron, and they cannot sign a player waive that had a pre-existing salary of $12.8 million plus. So that's not in a nutshell. There you go, right there. So Simmons, for instance, if he's dropped after the trade deadline, because Brooklyn can take off $60 million in salary this summer. So if Ben Simmons gets waived after the trade deadline, just to make him available for other teams out there, the Lakers, I don't believe, are eligible under that auspices as you see there to pick him up. So I just wanted to go ahead and clarify some things. I appreciate Bobby Marks for putting that up there. It's an easy cheat sheet and a cool guide. So if you do check him out on Twitter, I do recommend it, because I know ESPN, it's not for everybody, and we talk about that all day long. But Bobby Marks does put those things in very concise fashion for people out there so that they can easily understand it. So there you go.
Bobby Marks is all right. Bobby Marks is all right. He tells some really hilarious and often sad stories about Mikhail Prokhorov's ownership of the Brooklyn.
Yeah. Kurt has a great question. Kurt Affair, instead of a great comment this time that you have that gets us all laughing, you have actually a good question. He says, does DFS come off the bench then? He mainly played at the 4 or a small ball 5 with Brooklyn. Would you put him at the 3 alongside LeBron and have Rui come off the bench, or would you even dare put him at the 2, or what are your plans are for DFS? As far as what he can do on the defensive end.
Before you think about where you're going to put DFS, Gerald, ask yourself this question. Mm-hmm. Do I continue to start Max Christie?
Well, I think if you ask Lakers Nation right now, they would say somehow you got to try and figure Max Christie into the starting rotation. It's just like if you took out Dalton Connected when he was playing hot, when he was scoring, 20, 37, stuff like that. You can't take out the guy when he's playing really well, especially these younger kids, because it really is a blow to their confidence. So you're going to have to figure it out.
And they've won 5 of 6 with him starting. So
he probably won't start against Cleveland. He's probably not going to start against Cleveland, but this is down the road. What are you going to do, then?
So I think, I think your starting 5 should be AR, Christie, DFS, LeBron, AD.
So Rui's on the outs because Rui has such a hard time guarding wings. DFS is a better matchup for wings.
Yes, and also Gerald, Rui has not been discouraged by going to the bench either.
Okay. Joe, do you concur with that? Let us know what you would do with DFS.
Gonna have to see him play with this team first before I decide on whether he's going to be a starter or a bench guy. If this
He'll
guy
come off the bench first.
If he's going to be a 1 through 5 defender, you're going to have to put him in regularly. I don't know if he plays well as a bench guy. I don't know if he's going to play well with LeBron and AD. I don't know. I'm indifferent with this trade in terms of what it will, in terms of what it will flourish. I do like the trade, but I'm looking at it more from a relief standpoint than
well, you mentioned it as far as, again, addition by subtraction when it comes to D'Lo. But funny how, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, Minnesota traded away D'Lo to the Lakers, in essence, for the same reasons, because they were a better team with him sitting on the bench than on the court. And statistically they were. And obviously when Mike Conley came in there, he's old now, so he's not really as effective this season as he was last season. But when he came in there, he provided something different and unique that Minnesota really needed that time that D'Lo couldn't give him, and the statistics bared itself out. So in an essence, he's wearing out his welcome wherever he goes. Brooklyn, Golden State, Minnesota, the Lakers twice, the Lakers at least once, and then now heading to Brooklyn again. We'll see, though. Do you think he'll be traded again? Do you think he'll be waived at the trade deadline? I know that Brooklyn really wants to keep that salary to get $60 million off that books.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not going to be in Brooklyn at the end of the year, and they don't have to sign him. They're going to be so far below the cap. They're going to drop.
They just have to waive him, but they'll keep the.
I don't think they need to.
They're gonna wait because Jordy. I'm really pleased with the shout out to Team Canada. Jordy Fernandez has done a great job with kind of the lack of talent in Brooklyn, and they're not that far off from a play-in spot, Gerald. So they're not exactly waving the white towel.
Well, there could be an issue with him, and I said it earlier. There could be a thing with him and Cam Thomas chucking up threes. So I wouldn't be surprised if D'Lo, if he's given the opportunity, will just shoot the lights out there because he's playing for a new contract, but still be waived after the February trade line. Because look, if they waive him after the trade deadline, Joe, they still keep the majority of that salary, coming off the books.
The free agent class this summer is not very vast. I don't know what they're going to pick up this summer. 2026 could be a interesting summer if star players decide to opt out. So this summer, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen this summer. There's not a lot of elite talent that could be available. And that's always going to be the question year in and year out anyways, because the system is trying to set up for the star players to stay with their drafted teams.
And there's always the idea of credit and capital and how scarce it is. And it's about supply and demand, Gerald.
Well, we'll see what happens, man. But Joe, I mean, you seemed okay with the trade. I'm okay with the trade. I don't think it's a bad trade at all. Again, you guys gave it a B+, if I'm not mistaken, as far as earlier today. I'd say that's a pretty big win. Again, gives more cap flexibility, gives the Lakers a defender, something they sorely need as one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Who knows? He might even stay around 40% three-point shooting. If he does that, that's a bonus. But he's just not an explosive scorer. He's just not a guy that's going to get you 20 a game. I think people got to be prepared for that.
And it's about it's also about market viability too. Like take D'Lo. So at this point, D'Lo is a backup point guard, right, Gerald?
At this point, yes.
Okay, so let's take somebody like Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones was the best backup point guard for a handful of years. When he went to free agency in the summer, Gerald, not a lot of nibbles for Tyus Jones, and eventually had to sign with the Phoenix Suns. I think under market value, but that's what NBA GMs see backup point guards getting. So it behooves guys like Malcolm Brogdon and Dennis Schroeder and D'Angelo Russell to play well, or else they could be looking at a Tyus Jones situation where you think you're worth 12, but you're only being offered 4.
Good point.
I don't know what the infatuation with wingspans has been the last decade. Folks, I don't care how wide a player's wingspan is.
You mean long?
Desmond, what did I say?
Wide.
Wide.
Long.
Wide.
Long.
Wide.
Length.
Wide.
Not width.
Girth.
So much for going clean.
The Desmond Bain has a 1 foot long wingspan, and he does pretty well. I don't know. I don't understand the whole infatuation with size and arms and legs and shit.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
The important part here is this team is going to have to mentally be above their talent.
Oh, yeah.
And this was the step in the right direction because you had 2 players that you traded that do not have the mental fortitude to focus or play the way they needed to play to benefit this team. Dorian Finney-Smith does one thing well, according to games that I've watched, minimal, and games that others who've watched him, especially Brooklyn fans, and that is his ability to guard players. There's always a benefit there. And you got that in return in getting rid of 2 players that were just not fitting the bill at this point. 3 second-round picks. The early information on why the Memphis deal fell through was Brooklyn was not content with, I think it was protected up to 18 is what the report was. Memphis wanted to protect. I never heard any trade for a first round pick protected to 18. Like, what is that? Just some random number that they pulled out of their rear?
No. That would mean that Memphis would have to defer the pick if they did not finish top 6.
You want to know something else, Sean, that I'd like the NBA to stop doing?
What's that, Joe?
This is something I would support. If you trade a first round pick, you trade a first round pick.
It's gone.
That's it. This swap crap, this protected at 19 and a half in case some infant falls from the sky. Like, dude, it's enough.
Like the microeconomics of this crap, Joe. It's just beyond me.
Who put this together? The lawyers?
Beyond me.
Never, ever let a lawyer draw up a contract. Ever. Because they want to draw up the most confusing, most page-induced agreement you can possibly have so that they can have money. Interesting enough, I guess it makes sense considering David Stern and Adam Silver are lawyers. I don't think is Rob Manfred a lawyer?
I don't know. Is he, Gerald?
I know. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I know we all know Adam is. So, and
that's something that I wish. And there's a lot of talk in baseball about oh my God, the deferring and look at the teams can look. Let me be honest with you guys.
He is a lawyer, by the way.
He is. Yeah, they're all lawyers. I know. Anytime something doesn't work for someone, right away we need to change it. This is why I have so much disdain for Greg Popovich and Mark Cuban and the Dan Gilberts of the world, because all three of those chumps never complained when the system was working for them. The second somebody outplayed them in the same system, they complained. I have a friend of mine who doesn't know sports very well, and he doesn't care. He knows sports, but he doesn't watch sports. When I would talk ill of Mark Cuban, he thought it was something that was political. I go, no, you moron. I've known of Mark Cuban for 20 plus years because he's the owner of the Mavericks. I'm a sports guy. The league, you know what I'm talking about, right? I go, the reason why I don't like Mark Cuban is because he's a two-faced person. That's what he is. What do you mean he's a two-faced person? I said, and I gave him the example of the CP3 trade. I gave him the example of how irritated he was with the fact that Pau Gasol went to the Lakers. Greg Popovich was more sour about that, and that's when I started attacking Pop. Of course, when you talk about Pop now, he's making it even worse with his whining, political stuff or whatever's going on that has nothing to do with basketball. I'm like, dude, just go home. Just go home at this point. You're sitting there. Your league already got shellacked 4 or 5 years ago because of social stuff, and then you keep bringing it back. Dude, if you got a problem, go on some show, retire, go on some show, and do that for a living. We're trying to pay attention to basketball here now. And that's the point. The point is the teams that you are battling against, they're upset. They're not happy. The fan bases are not happy. And for some reason, people attack success, and this is the result of it. But as long as they make their money, right? Hold on a second here. Let me see. Junior Santos. What did Junior Santos say here? Come on, Joe. You barely knew that about Mark Cuban. Barely knew about what? More about Mark Cuban.
He's laughing. He's laughing.
Oh, is it a sarcastic comment?
Yes.
Good one. That's a good one. Sometimes you can't gauge tone on here, guys. So thanks for clearing that up. So Intel Wild, what did he say here? Girth, Lakers fast bake, bigger, longer, and uncut. Well, uncut is not necessarily true on my end, by the way. Just for the record. Let's see here. Where'd Gerald go?
South Park, bigger, longer, uncut.
Yeah.
That's a compliment as far as I'm concerned.
Well, there's a scene.
If we're being spoken in the same breath as South Park,
there's a scene in the uncut, bigger, longer one that's pretty hilarious, but pretty disgusting too. I'll leave it at that. I'm not much of a South Park guy.
I was trying to let you know that Kurt asked a great question on who do we think is going to be traded next. He had a list of players. I was trying to show you on that one.
Where is it? Not sure why JJ would play Olivari. Okay, hold on. Where did Kurt ask the question?
Go back up about 5 minutes ago.
Really? Why don't you guys tell me?
I just put it on there. I've had it on the screen for 5 minutes. Well, you were talking. There you go.
Who is the most likely going to get traded next? Gabe, Vando, Rui, JHS. Most likely, Gabe and JHS, because there's less years in Gabe's contract, and JHS is pretty much used fodder. Rui would be... that would have to go in a package if the Lakers truly feel like they can get a third guy. And then Vando is useless at this point because the contract they gave Vando absolutely hitched that to the Lakers for at least a couple more years. Unless they give out a bunch of first-round picks, of course.
JHS will be a $4 million expiring, just to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's expiring. $4 million expiring.
Who?
JHS.
Oh, yeah. JHS is done. He's done ski. Let's look at this.
At this point, they're going to have to package a Rui or a Reeves into it for any major third star, Joe.
And really, the only third star that's likely that's going to be available, unless something drastically changes between now and February, is going to be De'Aaron Fox. And there hasn't really been any noise out of Charlotte, but that would be the one guy that, because Charlotte's not really playing well, and are they going to want to get some assets for something again, rebuild in Charlotte again? You all know my feelings on Charlotte. Charlotte should have never gotten a second. I think if Jordan hadn't bought the team, I don't think they would have. I just don't think they should be in the NBA. I don't think there should be a team in Charlotte. I don't think there should be a team in New Orleans, to be honest with you.
Those aren't good markets for the NBA. Those are college north. Smack dab right in the middle of the Carolinas. That's NASCAR country, college country. You're not gonna. It hasn't worked, Joe. You're right.
Yeah, it's not. I don't understand. You already tried it in New Orleans the first time. It didn't work when they were the New Orleans Jazz. You tried the Charlotte Hornets originally. Then they moved to New Orleans. And then you brought in an expansion team called the Bobcats. I don't understand what was the hard on to go over there for some reason. What was it? What were they trying to get in those areas? And all that, was it the Oklahoma City thing? Why is Oklahoma City, which is pretty much in the same region of New Orleans, why is it work in Oklahoma and not New Orleans, Sean? Give me a logical kind of explanation there.
Okay. All right. Two reasons. Okay, Joe. I used to live in the middle of a country once for a few years. Okay. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there, Joe. This wind howling all the time. There's nothing to do out there. Except talk about who got a new haircut and how many head of cow do you have? That's it. So the rabid NBA fans in Utah and Oklahoma City, they're rabid because it's the only thing they got. So they get revved up all week for it. Like they do get revved up all week for it.
Is that really what it is?
Yes, of course it is. You know, we're all human beings. We need to let out some steam, right? Let off some steam, get a lot of anger and lot of bad feelings out of the way, and that's when you hear it from other fans, and you feel it from the players too. That these people just get rabid all week for it. Plus, in New Orleans, you have so much other. Like the culture of New Orleans is different than in the middle of the country too, Joe. Like you have music, you have gambling, you have uh, nightlife, food. Like there are different cultures, like swimming in New Orleans itself. So you don't necessarily have to watch sports if it's not entertaining and boring because there's so much else to do in New Orleans.
It makes sense, but I think who was it that said this? Hold on, I just read it. I don't know why I can't see it anymore. It's true that Oklahoma City has had a lot of talent the last 16 years. Their draft picks in the late 2000s were among some of the best that I've ever seen. They drafted Durant, they drafted Russell Westbrook, they drafted James Harden, they drafted Serge Ibaka. These guys, Presti was absolutely masterful in his selections. Oh, you could almost say he was Jerry West-like in these draft picks. But Jerry West never really picked like this. His talent was more getting people to come to LA and also finding hidden gems. So you could honestly say that Presti's probably been the best player personnel, general manager / VP, whatever you want to call him, of the last quarter century. He drafted 3 Hall of Famers in this run, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be number 4, and if Chet Holmgren lives up to his expectations, he could be number 5. That's a hell of a run for someone in Oklahoma City. Now, as far as the NBA and who's available and all this stuff, we'll talk about. There was a question about. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I'm sorry, guys. When the host is doing the show, it's hard to catch up to all the questions, but I'll try to do my best. There was a question about. I think JY asked it about De'Aaron Fox. Will the Lakers go after De'Aaron Fox after his contract is over, which is going to be in 2026? Likely will be the summer where LeBron retires. Is De'Aaron Fox the guy you got to go get? I'll tell you what, guys. If that's the only guy there, there's worse players that you can get. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to plant the seed a little bit right now. It's probably not going to happen, but anything is possible, obviously. But I'm really going to be paying attention to Mr. Luka Doncic, because he's a free agent in 2026 should he want to opt out. That could get interesting. If you think the Lakers are big now, the tail end of LeBron's era and AD, imagine in 16 months from now, if Luka says, I'm not signing an extension with Dallas, holy crap. You are going to have a summer of fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. Because when Luka was drafted into the NBA, the owner was Mark Cuban. That owner is now Adelson, not Cuban.
Okay.
By the way, that's a good question for Robert when you're done, Sean.
I'm going to answer Robert's, and then I'm going to get back to you, Sean. Don't forget that comment. Robert, welcome. Thank you for asking a really good question. If we had to pick, Sean, between LaMelo or Fox, which one would we pick, and would you give up Austin for the pick? I think Fox might work better with this team as it's constructed. Although LaMelo is a better scorer than Fox. I'd rather go with Fox.
We've seen how Austin looks on this team on a playoff run, Joe. Twice now in 2 separate years. So that's basically, I mean, if Austin's playing great, but remember 1 month ago, you guys wanted him out. So, I mean, not you guys here on this panel, but a lot of the chat was like ready for him to go. In fact, I just noticed an article about his agent dropped something about, as far as on Twitter, about all those fans who wanted Austin out. So, I mean, again, Austin, great playing now during the regular season, but what does he give you postseason? If you're talking about what the Lakers look like in the postseason with Austin, we've seen how far that goes in 2 seasons.
If you're going to be a star with the Lakers, you have to have a certain quality and personality, Joe. And Fox and Ball both have that. So that's kind of even.
You'd have to be banking on LaMelo playing defense as a 6'8" guard. He can play defense if he wanted to.
I don't mean this to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. Because I respect the game and his level of productivity, his ability to score. But LaMelo is who he is at this point, and he's very good, at times excellent player. I don't think De'Aaron Fox has reached his potential yet as a player. He's clutch. He is very timely with shot selection. He plays with a high IQ at a high octane speed. And like Joe was saying, he fits both the present and the future.
But LaMelo is younger by 4 years, I think.
I think so. Fox just turned 27.
And he's a better playmaker. I'm just giving you the either or, but I think I'm agreeing with you a little bit on De'Aaron. Yeah. I think I'm agreeing with you on the De'Aaron, but if I'm looking at this from the other end, I would say if I'm trying to sell you on LaMelo, I would say he's younger, a better playmaker, does have the ability to be just as explosive a scorer. I was joking last night when talking about the look LeBron would make if he shoots 30 times in the game, like he does currently with Charlotte. But he does have the chance to be an explosive scorer, just like De'Aaron Fox does, but is a little bit better playmaker. While De'Aaron, it would be better on the defensive end if they're both focused and actually want to play defense. Which hopefully in the playoffs.
I just don't. I see what I see with De'Aaron Fox is I see someone who doesn't use a lot of energy when he does the things he does. LaMelo, he's got to press a little. He's got to shoot. He's a volume shooter. He's going to score a lot, but he's very AI-esque.
And they both have limited. Scoring. They both have limited examples in playoff structure basketball. Charlotte had that 1 year, if you remember Magic Man and Joe, that 1 year Charlotte got into the playoffs. And then, of course, that one series in Golden State with Sacramento and De'Aaron Fox. So if you traded for either one of them, and Homelander said, I wouldn't trade AR, he's too good. Again, as he's been a really solid player, I still think, is he going to be a number 3 guy ever that you're going to be able to rely on, or that teams would have to fear in a playoff series? I think the book's still out on that because we've already seen 2 seasons of what he can do in the playoffs. But, if you wanted to go ahead and trade for one of those guys, Joe and Sean, we have very limited playoff examples of what either can do.
I don't give a damn about what happened before. You tell me.
No, I'm just telling you as far as
you can get Fox for in a package with Reeves. I'm not even.
You're not even blinking. Okay.
Not even blinking. No.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not saying I disagree with you.
Pau Gasol was 0 for 12 in the playoffs before he got traded to the Lakers.
He always ran into the San Antonio Spurs.
And of course, he was by himself. Okay, there's a lot of factors in that discussion. Now, you put Pau Gasol other than after game 4 to 6 in the 2008 finals, Pau Gasol was as valuable a player could be playing the B role as you've ever seen in a 3-year period. He was immensely important, and it's. I'm not comparing it to what this is, but I'm just saying you can't. Basketball is a team game. The discussions of greatest ever, greatest era, this guy did this over here, this guy did this over there. You have to look at the circumstances of a team aspect, team enthusiasm, team coaching, the front office atmosphere. These things all play a factor. Imagine going to work in Sacramento every day and it's kind of dull, or you don't see enough kind of enthusiasm there. And then you have Mike Brown. I know he's a good basketball coach, but he's not a good kind of motivator or to get you kind of excited about stuff. And a lot of that stuff matters.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate again. I would agree with you on Fox, but let's say LaMelo Ball. Alan and I were going over in the summer, and he was in our chat now, because I know he'll remember when he and I were going back and forth on LaMelo. I saw a lot of potential, and I thought if they made an offer, cheap enough offer, they could have probably gotten him. Now that he's scoring almost 30 points a game, it's quite different. But what if you were to get a package offered to you, Joe, that included Nick Richards and LaMelo Ball? I know you guys mentioned it earlier today, but
the Lakers are not.
Alan still says boo LaMelo.
You can't. Beggars can't be choosers. The Lakers want any shot at getting a championship in the LeBron AD era. They have to do whatever it takes to get that third star.
And I wanted to put in one more thing, caveat. If De'Aaron Fox is made available, do we actually have the best trade assets to give to Sacramento for him? We
don't have the best
Houston
assets anywhere, either for LaMelo or for Fox.
Those two first-round picks
will
are
not
nice.
trade them to LA.
Houston could give up more. There's probably 3 or 4 teams that could give up probably better assets than we can, even if you included Reeves.
Yes.
I'm just saying. So maybe you would go the other way, and you'd want to lean into a different direction. I know Chicago, if Levine becomes available, a lot of people are going to be interested in him. Maybe you do go the way of a Charlotte and see what you can make there. If you're able to get a Ball Richards package.
I like Nick Richards. He's potentially a double player, over 25
Why
minutes
would
a
Charlotte
game.
do that? Why?
Yeah, they probably won't. They probably won't, Joe. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Because they potentially would do it because they have to make it. They have to make a decision. Mark Williams, their starting center, has a predilection of always getting hurt. That's why Nick Richards is there. But Nick Richards is too good to be a backup in Charlotte. He's too productive. It'd be like this. Think about it like this, all right? And I know this might be a bold statement, Gerald, but I'm going to make it anyway. If somebody acquires Nick Richards, you may be acquiring a Ivica Zubac like center.
Everyone in the NBA would want to choke the Charlotte Hornets front office if they traded those two to the Lakers, because you're giving the Lakers two of the things they really.
Well, we're not trading
really
for. We're not trading for Kai Jones.
The league would flip. You're giving the Lakers exactly what they need, and when you compound that with the DFS pickup now, let's just hypothetically say that deal happens. It doesn't matter if you put in Rui, Austin's family, Rui's family. It doesn't matter. For sure those guys are in that deal, and they give up the 3 first-round picks. Let's just say they do that, right? Let's just say they do. So now you are between now and February, the Lakers got a 1-5 very, let's say, good defender, right? Someone who can come off the bench or start depending on the situation. Then you give the Lakers the third star in LaMelo, who can average 30 points a game. And then you give them Nick Richards on top of that to be your center.
Your backup center, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Thank you.
You would the earthquake in the NBA would be catastrophic.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? If all that happens, let me tell you something. If all that happens,
we're gonna get a lot of crap for this, Sean. By the way, people are
gonna
now we're gonna get posts. Oh my God! Sean said that the Lakers are gonna get LaMelo Ball now. What an idiot! Oh my God!
But that's the thing. This trade today, guys. This trade today, it makes it a lot harder to do so because of the expiring contract, $18 million being out of there. I know Joe, again, addition by subtraction. I can't say I fault him for feeling that way, but you traded for DFS and whatnot. Just making a package now for a third star, whether it's someone like LaMelo, someone like De'Aaron, or someone like Levine, or just someone that's going to be more than a rotation player for us, that makes it a lot harder without that expiring big contract.
Yes, it does.
Kurt, every point laid down, my friend. Yeah, that was good. That's a good thought because he put that in the chat. So, by the way, Ox keeps putting in there 50 likes and Intel drops a $50 super chat. So, if you do like what you see, welcome. Truly appreciate you joining us. Joe,
I like that we have a big crowd tonight. I know it's a Sunday, but we didn't put any clickbaity stuff, even though the stuff that we put this morning was legitimate, but it's still attention-getting. But we didn't put any attention-getting comments or subject lines, and we still have a pretty big crowd. For those of you that are here for the first time, please like and subscribe, because we are going to make it our duty to make sure you don't get tricked to watch the show. There are really two ways this is going to go. Either you can't stand us or you love us. And that's just how we like it.
But either way, they keep on listening, Joe.
If they want to listen, if they want to have the Howard Stern effect where, what did they listen for 3.5 hours? If they don't like you, they only listen to you for 45 minutes if they like you. That's totally up to you. And we like to talk smack. However, I know you guys have noticed, I think I've only said the S word in a small tone a little bit. And then Mr. Grice has been in silence with his. We're trying to make this a little bit more car friendly. What does that mean, you're probably asking? What is car friendly, Joe? Does that mean you think we're going to trade for Giannis? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean by car friendly is there are a lot of folks out there that like to listen to the podcast in their vehicle. And a lot of times they're listening to the show, taking their kids to school or picking up their kids from school. And the last thing they need is to be going home and getting ready to go eat dinner with little Timmy and little Susie. And all of a sudden, my dumb, going, oh man, F this C word, S word, W word, and F word. I know it feels good, but we gotta think of the children.
He came to this epiphany
all by
on his
himself.
own, everyone. Not
all by
by
himself.
me.
It's not really me, folks. You know it's YouTube. You know it's the crybaby apples.
Oh no, it's
the TikToks.
No.
But Sean and I, our conversation on a movie star from the past got us in a whole heap of trouble on YouTube as far as our playback, like last week. We didn't even actually were saying dirty words. We were just talking about a movie star from the past, and that got the ad cut. It went from just normal to limited as far as that right away is because of the content that was said on that show. And I'll just
Gerald, what movie star would that have been?
What do you think? Which one, my friend?
Why do I keep seeing this name?
Holmes, and then we're not talking about Sherlock.
Is that what playback got?
That's why I never say his name, Holmes. You don't respect nada.
Yes. So
why did you take that thing off the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was
the hell are you doing over there?
Jovan Buha, LOL.
Who is this guy? Why do I keep seeing this guy's name?
But he's the writer. He's the Lakers writer for The Athletic. Mm-hmm. He's one of that in crowd. Remember the in crowd that I always talk about?
You mean the in crowd that doesn't know what's going on?
Well, in this case, yes, because he said a lot of things that he tried to correct himself on Twitter, because there were some people that were taking his context.
He's like Chad Ford. He's like Chad Ford tried to redo his NFL draft years after it. And Buha's trying to backtrack off. Well, what I meant to say.
No major trades coming along the way. And then he said, except for maybe one of the Brooklyn guys and maybe Valanciunas. And, of course, everybody took the part where he said there was no major trades coming along the way, and they roasted him for it. But, yeah, he is the lead writer for The Athletic. I think his stuff is also put on is it the Post or the Times in New York?
Well, Buha is full of hoo-ha.
So, again, he's just in that in crowd. He gets to interview all the Lakers. He just had to interview with Max Christie. So, it is what it is. So, and he does what we do. He's a competitor of ours, just like Trevor Lane, just like the Kamenitskis, Sliwa. It is what it is.
I don't consider anybody who's already.
They are my competitors.
They've been baptized in the.
He does his own.
Make sure
YouTube channel, the whole 9 yards, Joe.
Proud.
Buha just added his own YouTube channel this season, so yes.
I don't care what he did.
I'm just telling you, he's a competitor to me.
No, I'm not. No competitor here. That may be for you, not for me. So let's see here. Danny, Mark, Joe is South Park humor. Obey my authority humor.
Thorta.
I don't know what that means.
Tufso says, who else besides Fox and Ball could we think about for a good point guard? We're going to need one.
That's available? That could be available?
That's a great question.
Nothing comes to mind.
Could be available.
I mean, you're gambling if you get Brogdon for like a second rounder, if you still have one left and available for the Lakers.
Could be available.
But he's been often injured throughout his career. And I joked that he would get injured reading those comments, but he does get injured quite a bit. So I do have my concerns over that. Same thing if you're making a trade, Joe, for Robert Williams. You're gambling on that knee. I mean, a lot of these guys that we've been talking about in recent weeks have, a lot of them have baggage. Even Valanciunas, he's in his mid-30s. He's got a 3-year contract. I know that Washington got him specifically to trade him at some point in time this season. That was their intention. You could clearly see that. That's why they put that 3-year guarantee on them so they could go ahead and utilize him in a trade. So with that, again, it's going to be something we're going to have to take a look at, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anyone. Colin Sexton would require lateral moves, and he would probably be in on a deal with Kessler if that was a deal that could happen. Danny Ainge would ask for, if the Lakers called Utah and said, we want to get Sexton and Kessler, I'm almost sure that Ainge is like, all right, give me your 3 first-round picks and then whatever matching contracts you want. And then Rob would be like, take a hike. At least I would do that. I said, you'll get 1 first-round pick. And then I'd be willing to maybe give one of the 2 starters, either Reeves or Rui, for that package. And then the rest is going to be the fodder we have on the side. Because you can't do a lateral move there. You can't gut your current chemistry, which is what Rui and Reeves has right now, so that you can bring in 2 guys that have to get acclimated to what's going on. And now you're not getting those guys that actually benefit in certain areas that help you win now. I don't see how that's going to work. Danny Ainge in Utah, unless Danny Ainge gets a brain transplant, I just don't see anything coming out of Utah. And there's nothing really coming out of Charlotte either. There's nothing coming out of Charlotte. I don't know if Charlotte wants to give up the one guy that they have on their team that sells tickets. I just don't know I have no feeling there on that. De'Aaron Fox will not get traded to LA because Sacramento won't do that. Even if they had the right package, I don't think they do it. Because it's very rare that teams will trade their star player, hell, not even in the same conference, in the same division, and the team that you hate and the team that just swept you. No chance. You want De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox doesn't sign an extension. Oh, and that's the other thing. If De'Aaron Fox gets traded this year, which I don't believe he will, I'm pretty sure, and this is why he won't get traded, I'm pretty sure the team that acquires him, unless it's like a team that's a De'Aaron Fox away from being a contender for the rest of the next 5 to 10 years, which there really isn't. Maybe Orlando, maybe. I don't know. But they're going to ask if he can sign an extension because they're not going to give up all the talent and draft picks and then have him leave in 18 months. That's just not going to happen. I think he's going to test the market. Unless it is, wow, okay, I'm going there and we're going to be competing for a championship for the next decade. It's a lot of working parts here, man. It's a lot of working parts. But that's where they're at. So where are we at now?
Good crowd tonight, though. Again, thank you for joining us. Truly appreciate it.
Good crowd, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are, let's see, let me check my numbers here. Is Intel still here?
He's been very quiet, so maybe he's...
Rui, Austin, Gabe, and 2 picks, works for LaMelo and Richards. Yes, Robert. Yeah, that would work. But that's almost like Charlotte going, all right, we want the Lakers to have a chance at winning a championship deal.
They're giving, well, with LaMelo, it could be a situation where they're tired of him, like the Lakers, like you were, and me to an extent as well, but mainly you were tired of D'Lo. If LaMelo gets traded, it's because Charlotte as an organization wants to do something different than LaMelo Ball. It would be clear. That'd be a clear message.
I don't know.
He's thinking.
I don't know about that.
What?
I don't know.
If Charlotte...
I don't know. What does Charlotte do? What's their existence here?
Good. Magic. Let me get you on. I got it, Magic. Okay, got you. Go ahead.
They are sponges.
But when does it stop?
Leaching?
When did they stop?
Leaching never stops until there's no blood left, Joe.
Does ownership in Charlotte, which is fairly new, right? They just bought the team from Michael Jordan, a year ago?
I don't think Mitch is the GM anymore, guys.
No, he's not.
By the way,
he's not. Mitch is not the GM, and if Mitch was, we'd be like, well, there's nothing to discuss at this point. But what is I want this to make sense because this is something that we have to understand and let the crowd understand, so they understand that you can't just go, hey, let's go get De'Aaron Fox. A lot of people don't read collective bargaining agreements or at least study it a little bit. No one really knows the culture of these teams. They're just so focused on what they see on SportsCenter, a box score, and the Lakers.
Because on the surface, Joe, at Charlotte, why would you give up a 24-year-old 6'8" point guard who can score 30 points a game and get you 10 assists along with it on the books? Unless, like you said, the culture is just so bad with him there that it's time to move him on.
You move a guy that can play ball. Is that your message to the fans? How about you need to bring more talent to play with LaMelo and Brandon? My brain went. Brandon who? What's his last name? Miller?
Yes, Brandon Miller, yes.
So what is it? What is the point of going to a Charlotte Hornet game now? If every time you get some kind of talent on the team, oh, well, we're not winning, so we're going to blow it up again and hope for us to get a second overall pick again and just miss that first overall pick.
Oh, they do get that first round pick. My God, how good would it be for them to get Cooper Flagg?
But is Cooper Flagg him?
I don't know if he's him, but I mean, at least initially.
Are we going to be told again that this first pick is going to be juicy? Because really the only number one pick the last decade that's been relevant in a possibility of being an all-time great has been Wembanyama. And Sean, we did a show not too long ago about the first overall pick and how since the inception of the draft in the NBA and the draft and the NBA in general, that the first overall pick doesn't actually bring you a lot of riches. It's a very rare player that does that. And even the guys that did win end up leaving. I think Tim Duncan is the only first overall pick that played his entire career with one team, and they became a Duncan dynasty. They became a dynasty for that player. I want you to imagine that. The draft started in 1947. The NBA started in 1947. Since 1947 till now, Tim Duncan is the only first overall pick that stayed on one team that was the first overall pick, and they became a dynasty. Kareem, first overall pick, won in Milwaukee 3 years in, but then left. Wilt went to what? 3-4 teams? I know one of those teams ended up moving cities. Shaq didn't win in Orlando, and he left at some point. Michael wasn't a first overall pick. Kobe wasn't a first overall pick. AI didn't win any championships. I mean, if you go and look at the history of first overall picks, that first overall pick, it's not as big as we think it is in terms of longevity and being an integral part of a run. So I don't know. I know I'm kind of veering off here a little bit, but let me read what Scarlett says. Got to prepare myself a little bit. Hold on. All right, hold on. Let me get comfortable.
Watch out, Scarlett. Here it comes.
All right. Scarlett and Blue. I think the trades available to the Lakers are getting slimmer. No crap. Lakers don't have enough assets, really. And the available, Dr. Evil, available players do not meet the Lakers' needs. Are you going to tell me next that the sun sets in the West?
I mean, you're telling us the obvious, Scarlet and Blue.
Are you going to tell me that Sean is dashingly handsome? Come on. Come on, Scarlett. I know I kind of chastised you about 10 minutes ago, but I didn't think you were going to come with this regular oatmeal with no sugar in it. Come on. You gotta do better than that. Do better. Shoot, here's Darren now. Hold on. Let me see what Darren has to say. Hold on. Let me do another drink. Oh, it's so good. All right. Darren. If we had assets, we pull, not need to make the trades. Okay, Darren, you have to stop typing with two fingers and your other hand doing other things. Come on. All right, I'll give you another shot. You wrote something else.
Oh, your professor
history. We would not need to make the trades. Again, single A ball at this point, guys. Come on, you can do better than that. Let's see here. Scarlet Blue. Okay, now they're coming with the ammo. Hold on. It was in answer to Danny. Oh, okay. Okay, it was an answer to Danny. So he's blaming Danny. Okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, Mitch Kupchak stepped down last summer from Charlotte.
Thought so.
Speaking of $7,000, where is $7,000? Did he finally become $500?
$7,000 is extinct. There you go.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Scarlett is the new $7,000. That's pretty good, Mark. Where the hell are you, Mark? Are you still at the beach? Hanging with the ladies? Anyone? So Joe understands the
I wonder
oblivious.
how many
better.
of those. I wonder how many of those beaches are clothing optional. We'll have to ask Mark next time he's on.
I thought we were gonna.
Hold on. This is getting good now. Scarlet and Blue. I don't really pay attention to Joe much anyway. He is like a kid on Ritalin.
Joe, do you think you have? You think you're undiagnosed ADHD?
ADHD? No, I couldn't be ADHD because I've known in my circles for staring at people while they talk. ADHD people don't. ADHD can't look at people while they're talking. They're too busy doing this.
I think you mean autistics, but okay.
I mean, I was exaggerating a little bit, but the point is, do this. When you're talking to someone, how often do they look you in the eye while they're listening?
Not very often.
No. ADHD can't. I'll sit, let's say, on a couch and someone's speaking, and I'll be like this. Oh, well, that's a good point. I understand this. However, the area is very clean, and therefore there is not much work to do there. And that's usually how the conversation goes. I won't.
You try and make things as uncomfortable. You try and make things as completely uncomfortable as possible.
I'll ease off when I talk. I won't be like, so Sean, this is going to be very easy because it's very clean. You don't need to do much work. If I look at you like that, it's very uncomfortable. However, you can get away with staring right in their eyes when they're speaking because no one is going to sit there and go, hey, can you stop looking at me while I'm talking? But if you're sitting there like, hey, so what are you going to do tonight? Are you going to go anywhere? Are you going to go fix that thing? Are we going to get this? Are we going to get that? Like, they're going to be like, hey, man, come on. He's up there. Come on, you're all up in my face. Right? ADHD is an excuse for why people are bored to listening to you. If you make things more exciting, that's why being around people is usually not good because it's the boredom. George Carl talked about this, and that guy was coked up to the rafters. I don't do drugs, and I understand it. I could understand it if he's on speed or whatever, right? He probably just couldn't handle himself. Me, I'm a pretty calm guy in a normal setting. So ADHD, sorry, folks.
Joe, when's the last time you had real road rage?
There was a guy in a parking lot at the mall. There was a punk kid. And I remember I walked out of the truck kind of like, what the hell happened? And you could tell he slowed down when he saw me come out. And then the conversation got a little bit nicer. I think he was expecting to throw his shoulders up a little bit. And I knew that too, by the way. That's not the first time that's happened. I got out of the car kind of like, I'll act confused. And that's even worse because if I came out guns a-blazing, it kind of gives you a little bit more of the, oh man, this is one of those guys. No, I come out confused, like, what's going on? What do you want? Yeah, I gotta go. There's nothing worse than fighting in public, by the way. The best one I had, the best little kind of, I don't know if it was necessarily road rage, but it was in the parking lot again. I don't know what it is about parking lots, but this one guy wanted to throw down, and I knew that wasn't the first time he tried to act like a tough guy because his girlfriend or his wife or whatever, she's like, come on, let's go, right? While he's yapping at me. And I looked at her, I looked at him, I had a really nice watch on, and my truck was right there. So if something was to happen, my truck would have probably got dented, my watch would have broke, and that whole process started right like in a 3-second decision-making sequence. I'm like, I'm just gonna go back in my truck. And of course, he was very happy with himself. He thought he called me down. Oh, are you gonna run away, dude? You're gonna run away, man? You're gonna run away? And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I'm gonna run away. Yeah, those instances are few and far between because I am an adult, an immature one once in a while, but I am still an adult most of the time. And yeah, people have issues. They have, I don't know, and they want to prove something. But just make sure. I'm a nice guy when it comes to that stuff too. I'm not a psychopath. So it's if it happens, I usually try to make the right call on that. I don't like to get myself involved with stupid stuff because if I punch that guy, his head hits the ground and cracks his head open. Now I got to deal with this freaking guy and his family. Now I have everything in a trust. Yeah, and lawyers. I have everything in a trust, so I don't have to worry about that. But I don't got time for that. I rather get called a you know what and a you know what and a you know what and just drive off, and you forget about it after 5 minutes, anyways. Road rage is the same thing. Once in a while, you'll get the hey, and then you'll be like, yeah. Anyways, let's see where we're at with our likes. We're getting up there, aren't we?
Not 34. Hit 50 yet.
Guys, we need 16 more. Come on. Where's Intel? Where's our Intel?
Silently watching.
Joe is the next SpongeBob Sean. I don't watch SpongeBob. Is that true, Sean?
So was that question directed at me about you?
Yeah. He assumes that you watch SpongeBob. Is this assumption right?
What is a SpongeBob?
The show. SpongeBob SquarePants? You don't know who SpongeBob SquarePants is?
Unfamiliar.
Anyways, back to basketball. Meanwhile, back to basketball. I'm kind of disappointed that we never saw what Maxwell was as a player. Scarlett, are you blind? Did you not see his shot? Did you not see how he ran back and forth? You ever see a newborn gazelle? That's what it looked like. Just go on YouTube.
Flailing arms running.
Yeah. Look, he was so irrelevant. I called him Maxwell Smith today.
You did?
That's how bad it was.
I didn't even notice that.
I noticed it after. Gerald had to correct it. Mm-hmm. Maxwell Smith. I didn't even give him the proper departure name. Maxwell Smith. I don't even know Maxwell Smith. Do you know Maxwell Smith? I'm sure there's a lot of them out there. But I didn't even give the guy the right name. That's how bad it was.
Kurt's asking, what is our best defensive lineup now? Good question, Kurt.
Oh, that's easy. Y'all ready?
Here we go.
AD. I know LeBron sucks, but still LeBron. You got to play him. DFS. Rui. Who else? Who's the fifth?
Well, you're talking about if it's best defensive, then you're saying Reeves or you're saying Gabe Vincent?
Is Gabe Vincent a better defensive player? But he's not going to play.
Because if you put your best defenders out there, it would be Gabe Vincent, DFS.
Christie, man.
Max Christie.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Christie.
Cam Reddish.
Depending on the length, you could go a couple different.
Don't expect him to score much, though, man.
No.
And it doesn't matter how good his defense is if he's shooting 0 for 6 and scoring 1 point, which is at this point, when Gabe makes a shot, I'm celebrating for the evening. Like that's a celebration. That's how
who's
bad
insulting
he is.
you, Xbox? Come on, guys, let's calm down. Calm down the insults. Just direct them towards us. We usually get them anyway.
What's going on? What happened? What happened, Mark? Who insulted you?
Got to keep the show going. Yeah, let's
Scarlett, what the hell's wrong with you?
Come on, Scarlett. You've been on this channel off and on for a long time.
What did he say? I can't see anything here.
I'm at the beach. Now, come on, guys.
Who is
Let's break
Googling
it up.
insults?
Let's break it up. Come on. Peace.
All right, guys, come on.
Come on.
Let's get along.
Yes. Let's try. Let's try to.
Remember, walk away from the parking lot.
Joe didn't punch that kid in the mouth. You guys can just ease up.
I don't.
It'd be obviously the best defensive starting lineup would obviously be, or best defensive lineup would be DFS, Max Christie, AD, and then look, if you're gonna have your best defensive lineup, it wouldn't be LeBron. It'd definitely be Rui, and then you probably have Gabe Vincent out there.
Rui doesn't play good defense though. It'd be Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish as your defender. I mean, if you're not worried about scoring and you're talking about defenders, Magic Man, it would be Cam Reddish ahead of Rui, because Rui doesn't guard threes well, and he's not always strong enough to guard fours.
DFS Gerald, I think that's true. But DFS can. I think going forward, he's just going to be assigned either the fastest, the obviously the other team's best perimeter scorer, and or when he gets switched, at least we're not switching somebody like Cam Reddish or Rui onto a 4 or 5 that can't really handle themselves, whereas DFS can.
Yeah, again, if you're talking about the best defensive lineup, that's it. But who's going to score? That would be the question. Who's going to score in that lineup? And it's going to be very tough for.
Well, and there are myriad of factors too, like who's got personal fouls. Is somebody more effective than somebody else? And you don't want to shake the tree there. Like they're different, but yeah, like I mean, what's Cam Reddish's defensive rating this year?
I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks here, gentlemen. We're coming up on almost 2 hours here, so let's discuss the important question now. What is the likelihood of the Lakers making another move? If you had to put it in a percentage.
Well, I think it's 75%, because there's still not a team that's going to, with this trade, it's still not going to move the needle far enough in that direction, Joe, to be in the top 4. Considered right now the top 4. If everybody was healthy, the Lakers are still not a top 4 team. In my opinion. I'm something more.
I'm gonna go in between, because we don't want to be superfluous and redundant around here. I'm gonna go with a slightly different number than Gerald, but close. In between 75 and 80, 77.5%.
So like on The Price is Right or something. By the way, his defensive rating, Cam Reddish is 114.4.
Okay, that's probably one of the best on the Lakers. So there you go.
That is correct. When you got the 21st ranked defense in the league, that's got to be one of the best on the Lakers.
So 77.5% that another move is made. I think it's closer to 80.
Lakers all day. I sent you the email for the link, Matt. If you still want to come on, you please hurry. So because
we got 20 minutes or a little over 20 minutes to go. Lakers all day, so you can come on and chime in. So yeah. I'm seeing 75, I'm seeing 80, I'm seeing 95, I'm seeing 100%.
The thing is, though, do the Lakers have enough assets to get someone that can?
Yes, they do, depending on the situation.
Do they have enough assets in your mind to get a third star?
The assets are enough. If they give up the 3 first-round picks, like that's been reported,
only get 2.
It can only give 3. We can only give up 2, though.
I heard 3.
Who said 3?
I can't remember.
Unless I hear otherwise, I think they can only bundle 2.
Does somebody check that?
I'll check it.
I know that what was it, Lane or Buha was trying to see exactly if it was 3.
So is this true? I didn't know Lamelo got benched by his coach.
I look at he's currently out of lineup. He was out of the lineup yesterday, but he scored 31 in his last game that he did play.
Is it the volume shooting that's killing him? So Charles, are you saying that Charles isn't fond of LaMelo's decision making? Anyone?
I mean, let me give you his stats in recent games. The last game he played was on the 26th. He played 38 minutes there, scored 31 points. Against Houston on the 23rd, he played 30 minutes and scored 23 points. And
forget about the points. Forget about the points.
No, the minutes.
I'm talking about the flow. I'm talking about his ability to understand instruction.
Well, if he's being sat down now, Joe, it's not apparent.
This becomes a interesting story because we haven't heard anything yet about LaMelo getting traded out of Charlotte other than the usual, could he go to San Antonio? And Sean made a point a couple shows ago that San Antonio doesn't really operate like that. And I don't believe LaMelo is the kind of player that San Antonio wants. So where does that leave Charlotte and LaMelo? Is LaMelo going to secretly demand a trade between now and the deadline?
No, when I say that, Joe, though, is it about the shot volume? They could be tired of him chucking up 30 to 35 shots a game. There is that possibility. So he may have been sat down at some point in time a month ago, if that's the case. But currently he's not being sat down when he's in the lineup, according to what the minutes are saying. But is there a culture problem? He might be creating it when he shoots 30 to 35 times a game, Joe.
What choice do they have? You're on mute again, Sean. Fix yourself already.
There you go. I got you. Come on. I got you, Madge. I got you. Go ahead, my friend.
Clean yourself up, you filthy animal.
Are we done being friends now?
You can't trade consecutive first round picks.
What's the third that I heard?
I don't know. Where did you hear that?
Hold on. Let me look. Gerald, take the show on a little bit here.
To answer Darren's question, I thought I mentioned it clearly before, but if you haven't, I'm in Seattle in a Airbnb right now is where you're seeing me.
What's the difference between an Airbnb and a Verbo? It's not like Coke and Pepsi?
Something like that. They both try to tell you there's vast differences, but I've never used Verbal. I've only seen Verbal and looked at some of the pricing on Verbal.
Like Xerox?
Yeah. Danny, I was waiting for Lakers all day. If Lakers all day doesn't come on in a couple minutes, yeah, Danny, we can have you on for just a couple minutes.
No, we can't have Danny on.
Can't have Danny on? Okay.
No.
All right.
Just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay. Well, Danny, I guess you
better come with some good stuff, Danny. I don't want to hear about the South Park stuff. See, Gerald? See how...
Yeah, it's getting better. Hold on. Hold on. Here it comes. For Magic Man, too. There you go, Magic Man. There you go. For being the trooper
that looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah, there you go.
Every time I look at Magic Man, this is what I think.
Yeah, he said he wanted to come on the show earlier, Jeff. I just told him to wait till 9:30, but I guess he hopped on your channel instead. So, yeah, he's welcome to come. I sent him the link already on that.
Jeff talked about the Lakers tonight?
Yeah, he conveniently did. Yes, I did see his channel.
You like basketball now, Jeff?
He had Joe, he had on his own little DFS with the Adobe Photoshop jersey and everything.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Give Jeff some props on
Empire that. Jeff cares for the Lakers. It's a beautiful thing.
Uberall,
I think, is destroyed finally. It didn't take long, but he's gone.
He's not gone. He emails me 5 times a week. There we go.
Cool, bro.
Yeah, he tells me about he's into reading books.
Good.
He's going back.
Tell him to keep reading books, stay away from the adults, go play with the kiddies, and stop talking to AIs online.
Yeah, he's still, he's still going through high school life. But I'm wishing.
You know how there's a precursor to serial killers where they start hurting animals when they're young. Well, people that get caught in bathrooms trying to find people usually start talking to AI online. Yes. Tell them to cut that crap. Be a father figure, Gerald. Be a father figure for him.
Do I have to? I have 2 kids of my own already.
Gerald, you're that nice guy.
That's an awesome dentist already. So
you're the nice person that can assist at least a little.
To quote Red Foreman from that 70s show, unless I'm legally required to put food in your mouth and clothes on your back, I do not care.
I'm sorry, but he'll always be Clarence Boddicker.
Oh,
always
Smith?
Be Clarence. This is gonna sound crazy because there's been so many great ones, but I don't think there's a villain in movie history that's ever had me in stitches and just in disgust at the same time. After, of course, the scene with...
How many times did you go see RoboCop, Joe?
I saw RoboCop, honest to God, in the theater once, but I saw it on TV probably 400 times.
I've seen it twice on TV.
I mean, that movie was the perfect action movie, almost the perfect action movie with Predator. Predator and RoboCop. T2 was great too, don't get me wrong. The first Terminator was great, but there's something about RoboCop and there's something about Predator that just, it doesn't matter if I'm a mushroom or I'm a vegetable, I'm still gonna know that thing.
That is my 3rd favorite Paul Verhoeven movie.
I knew Blue Jays were in contention for the
Oscar. What are the first 2, Gerald?
When was
Total Recall?
When were the Blue Jays in contention for a Oscar? They weren't even in contention for a Oscar when he was a Blue Jay. You know who they were in contention for? Bloodhound? Corbin Burns. You know why I didn't go there? Sean, tell him why.
Money.
Same reason why I didn't go to San Francisco. They both offered more money. The problem is 90% of your money in Canada goes to Trudeau, right? And
you have to open up a bank account in Canada. You have to, they call it the Yankees, you guys call it funny money, which it is. It looks dopey as shit. Colored greens and blues and purples, and you got to pay a lot of taxes, Joe. Yeah. So
and then the difference between AZ tax and California tax is 13 to 6 in terms of state tax.
Yep.
Yeah. Unless you play for the Dodgers, they don't care because what they do is they escrow your money with the Dodgers because they'll defer it and they'll give you a signing bonus so you get your money up front.
And they get interest on it.
And then they'll get interest on it in escrow, right? And I learned that they can that money that's deferred can actually be given to where they live, so you don't have to pay that California tax. I mean, guys, and the team that puts it in escrow can invest that money.
It gets even more complicated in the NFL, where you got to pay taxes in eight different states.
Well, that's in all sports, but it's in all sports. Yeah, they get paid. I don't know. Are they employees or are they still independent contractors?
In Canada,
the football players.
I thought they were. I thought because they have a union, they're employees.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. That's one thing I don't know.
You can be an independent contractor and not be in a union. You can't be a.
But in terms of paying the tax, depending on where they play, that's how it is in America too.
Okay.
So if you play for the Cowboys, you have 8 or 9 games at home, so you're getting paid in Dallas. And then if you're playing in Philly, if you're playing in New York, you're paying the tax there.
Damn.
Yeah, these guys get paid weekly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get paid weekly.
I mean, I wasn't sure if it was the same, but that's the way it works up here.
Why is that funny, Jeff? I don't think that's funny. I don't like your humor tonight about football.
Okay. On that note, Dan, I sent you back a response with the link. So
what's wrong, guys? You don't know how to check your email and click a link?
Come on, it's right there for you.
Come on, stop watching South Park. Get on here so I can skewer you.
Empire says, I never think you're funny, Joe, so we're on the same page.
Ah, that's a bunch of crap. Grandstanding crap. Shoot.
We found a new toy, everyone. We found a new toy.
Yeah, it's not enough. I need some more of my own personality stuff. This stuff
dear
is
God,
more,
help us all on that
this
one.
is like old Comedy Store responses.
Darren says, I voted against that. Do the Lakers and Dodgers could attract a pay. So I'm assuming the Lakers and Dodgers could attract pay.
Put your back into it and get to work.
I voted against that, dude.
I think he meant to say so, not do.
I voted against that so that the Lakers and Dodgers could attract players. Voted against what?
Was there a proposition or some type of ordinance that?
Prop 21.
Intel's back.
What the hell are you guys talking about?
By the way, Intel's back in the chat.
Pick up on you. Why don't you help yourself? You're talking about Cool Bro helping himself to some textbooks. Why don't you help yourself to a few newspapers and keep in the loop, you knob?
Yeah.
For a week, he was arguing with me back and forth. He was trying to find every other fantasy series IP telling me that was better than Lord of the Rings. And I'm just like, no.
That's an opinion.
No. All right. Dan is here now.
Let's see what Dan has to say.
Can you bring him
on?
Not
screw this up. Go ahead. What do you want?
Is he on yet? There he is. There you go, Dan. What's up? Dan, you're on with us. Can you hear us?
Millionaire tax? What is
Dan.
that? That would make people not come if you voted for it.
Darren, are you? Dan, are you there?
Not anymore. You gone. This is the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. If you're going to come to the Nightcap, make sure you have a cap.
Intel Dan likes to call us Uncle Joe, Uncle Gerald, Uncle Sean, Uncle Magic Man, Uncle whatever. I'm sure I like that, but oh well. We get called a lot of things on the show.
Sean just sitting there waiting to erupt.
I'd be called worse by better.
Yes.
Dan has an initial SC.
Tough So is asking if we can win the game on Tuesday, which is something we should preview.
No, we're not.
It's like no.
We're probably going to get work, guys. It's science.
Can you hear us now, Dan? Dan, are you there?
Cowboy Nation.
I think there's a possibility we could win because a lot of times Joe Soro is just full of the same hot air that he inhales in his body.
Mm-hmm. We'll be coming off a back-to-back.
They are, yes.
That doesn't matter. They usually play worse.
It does matter. It does matter because they're playing a back-to-back, so that does matter.
Let's give it one last shot. Dan, are you there? Dan, are you there? Dan, are you there? Okay, not today, Dan. Doesn't look like it's going to work out for you, my friend.
This is a live stream. Sometimes it happens. It's happened.
No, it
to
doesn't.
me.
This is terrible.
Don't
ever come on this show again.
Don't interrupt me again.
Empire's Jeff says Joseph Soro.
Yeah, hot air. You're going to see hot air one day, and it's going to be the hot air coming from the wind.
Hey, Empire Jeff, he threatens you like he threatens me.
You mean when I cut the rope and you go up in the air balloon?
Hey, did you hear about that the people got stuck at Knott's Berry Farm ride?
I've been stuck on a Knott's Berry Farm ride.
What's Knott's Berry Farm?
You know
Knott's
the one,
Berry
Joe.
Farm is Canadian for
Don't.
bathhouse.
It's Canadian for not quite up to Disneyland standards.
Don't be, Joe. We just grabbed some new subscribers. Don't be xenophobic.
Come on, it's funny.
Don't be xenophobic.
Remember the
Bart,
radio
come
in the car
on,
deal.
Jeff.
Radio in the car deal. Radio in the car. Got to focus on that. But Joe, do you know the ride that takes you up? It's like that a carousel thing that you sit on the benches and it just raises you up like it's one of the tallest there. Raises you up like 20 stories up, and you just hang there on that bench thing with you and one other person, and it swings you around a little bit. You know that one that I'm talking about, Joe?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I was stuck on that for about 20 minutes. Yeah.
You know, they shut that the last time I was there. They shut that ride down like 3 times.
Up in the air, Gerald.
My son and I were both stuck up there for about 20 minutes. All right, last shot, Dan. Can you hear us? Dan, are you there? Well, going once, going twice. There's this great talk studio, Joe. It's called
Oh.
Yeah, that's there.
Hit that again.
Oh, there you go. There's magic. All right. All right. On that, we got 10 minutes to still talk about the trade, how this helps the Lakers.
Well, the question was, the trade is the trade. We've talked about it for what, 4.5 hours now?
Yeah.
It's
barely
right
touching
now,
the subject.
The question was, what is the percentage of them making another deal before the deadline? And a lot of you think it's pretty high.
I think they have no choice. They're not a substantially better team by today's trade. I think it is more like what you said, Joe. Addition by subtraction with getting rid of D'Lo as a negative force on the roster.
That's right.
So, and Joe's now having issues with his internet. So there you go. Maybe that's Dan providing some revenge there, Magic Man.
I think it is.
There you go. Okay, he's back. Yeah,
your
router went crazy again.
Pinhead is back.
Yes. Empire says the Lakers will do another move in the next 7 to 10 days.
Oh, yeah? How do you know?
Mark that. That's a bold.
How the hell do you know this?
Jeff. I like that. I like that, Jeff.
The great Karnak.
Hold on. Let me take a picture of it. If you're wrong,
he's wrong.
I'm coming on your show, and I'm taking that picture with me.
That's a bold statement. I like that, Jeff. That's you're out there going out there with that statement. All right, there you go.
The Lakers broke the seal. Once you break the seal, it's on.
So did the NFL release the schedule for next week, Joe? Because it looks as though the Lions and the Vikings are going to be the Sunday nighter for the division.
Mm-hmm. I think Gerald is gone for now.
Probably had to go use the can.
Yeah, and we're getting close. Can you guys make up your mind, man?
I'm still here. That's me, not Dan. So I just can't keep my camera on.
Are you going to be on the show or not? Anyways,
I'm still running it from behind the scenes.
Intel, we're trying to get to 50 here in the next 7 minutes. Where are we here? We're still at 39, at least from what I'm looking at. So
Gerald went to a grunge concert in Seattle. I'm assuming they still have that in some small parts, but now it's more a lot of millennials, a lot of things, activities, places, restaurants, shops geared toward younger audiences. Like Magic Man, he'd fit right in. He'd fit right in here.
You calling him a grunge?
Calling him a young man.
Yeah,
Sean.
Yeah, he says he's 40, but I think he can get away with hanging out with the millennials.
Why?
Appreciate that, Gerald. And by the way, Joseph, they have released a schedule, and your Steelers are playing again on Saturday.
Do they beat the Bengals though?
Well, I don't know, but the entire AFC North is playing on Saturday.
It doesn't look good. The Steelers
8 p.m. 8
The Steelers came back down to earth because they started playing teams that were top notch. The Eagles, the Ravens, and of course the Chiefs. I'm predicting they're going to lose on Saturday, and they're going to lose the first playoff game. There's a chance they could win that first playoff game if they play someone like the Texans.
And you guys call us negative on the Lakers, man.
Yeah, Joe, Houston's leaking oil. The Steelers could beat the Texans.
Mm-hmm. But if they end up being a 6 seed and playing the Ravens, and of course everyone on the Mike Tomlin crew can say, "Oh, they won 10 games this year. What a great coach. He's gonna go to the Hall of Fame." Right? 3 playoff games since Super Bowl 45.
Ali,
for those of you who don't know when Super Bowl 45 was, it was February of 2011.
There you go.
3. And by the way, during that time, he had a top 5 quarterback for the majority of that decade. He had the best receiver on the planet for 5 of those years, and he had the best running back / receiver for 3 of those years.
I want to go ahead and before we put a button on this show, as you would say, combine Ali's and Darren's comments because he's talking about it creates space to make moves, which is true. God, I hope they don't wave and stretch someone now, like a Christian Wood or something like that, and waste some of that space. I hope they don't. To be fair, I don't know much about Finney-Smith, but apparently he's a good shooter and defender. Yeah, he's shooting a 42% from 3 this season, and he's also, was especially in Dallas. He was a very noted defender. Not as much on Brooklyn because, as you can see, the results with Brooklyn, it's there. But Darren said it's easier to put up numbers on a bad team. He's only giving you 10 points a game, which again, it's a nice deal. It's a nice deal because it frees up a little bit of space for the Lakers. It gets, like Bill was talking about, gets rid of could be potentially a negative for the second time around, Sean, for D'Lo, because we know what happened that caused angst amongst the team the first time around, Nick Young. But if it does anything, it gives you a better defender out there. Perimeter defense has been an issue for the Lakers. It does give you someone who hopefully can still retain that shot, although Joe and many others have theorized correctly that once they come to LA for the bright lights, it's suddenly for their shooting percentage. So let's hope that he defies that trend. But he's not a scorer by any stretch of the imagination. He's only, again, if you're only scoring 10 points a game on Brooklyn, does he reach that mark here as a Laker, Joe or Sean?
I think so, Joe.
Okay.
What do you want me to say, guys? I got to see him play.
Hey, Gerald, would you agree that DFS is a slightly better offensive player than Max Christie?
Not slightly, but they both have issues going off the dribble. They both have issues.
DFS used to have quite a few problems, but he's actually gotten a lot better at attacking the closeouts rather than waiting.
But he's just not aggressive. When you're only scoring 10 points a game in Brooklyn, how aggressive are you? I mean, you're giving Cam and all the shots.
And we don't know how that distribution works either.
Cam, I should say, both the shots, so the double Cam. Yeah. Good night, Intel, man. We appreciate all your support, man.
I'm trying not to fall in that trap. Well, look, I don't fall in the trap. You do want to think positively, anyways. But there's been talk of this guy coming to LA for a while, right?
Yeah.
And it actually happened. I don't know who started that. That's a good question to ask. Who created the DFS possibly being an option to come to LA?
It's been known for a while that Pelinka's.
But what was it
Pelinka's
because
coveted him, Joe?
Because him and Cam
Pelinka?
Johnson.
Yeah, since his time in Dallas.
And Luka loves Smith, loves DFS, loves
JJ played with DFS for a very short period of time. To give you an idea, very high on DFS.
I'm just happy.
I retweeted an audio comment from him on a podcast.
I'm just happy we're not dealing with the
D'Lo.
Honestly, the D'Lo thing was starting to really bother me during the games. Every time he got the ball, I'm like, you better make the.
You were irritated.
And I wasn't like that last year or the year before. I wasn't. Even the start of last year.
So you're very easily irritated by his inconsistency.
I don't understand.
Were you waiting for something to happen though before after the turn of the calendar year, like last season?
I don't think it would.
It's a good question, Gerald.
We'll see. I mean, he could average 20 at Brooklyn.
But what does these numbers mean? They don't mean anything. No. LaMelo's averaging 30 points. They've won 7 games in Charlotte. We're not talking about that.
Empty stats.
Huh?
They're empty stats, is what you're saying.
Yes, and most of these stats are empty. A lot of these guys are getting triple doubles and losing. It wasn't like that years ago. You got a triple double, you probably win in the game. Doesn't matter who it was. So what is it that finally made? I think more than anything, it was. Even if he goes off in Brooklyn, he would not have gone off in LA. I don't think. I think it was done. You finally ran out of gas with this team. You just did. Why are you starting bad again? And it cost them. It cost them 3 or 4 games. There's no room for error. Now you got a guy that can at least play defense and isn't sitting in a hospital bed like Vando. That's the replacement. That's how you got to look at DFS. He is doing what Vando was supposed to do. And if you expect anything else after that, be careful.
Well, Ali, that's what he's asking. Is there any other moves you think the Lakers have in mind? Who do you think would be the Lakers' next possible target? Maybe a backup big?
Yeah.
A backup big. If you could get one of Robert Williams, Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Richards, and it doesn't and you pay a cost similar to this, go for it, because that's what you need to do. You need to address that backup big situation.
What's up, Frank?
If I had to guess what they're gonna do, because I just don't see a third star being available at the moment, unless someone demands, and I don't even know who would demand anyways. Jimmy Butler isn't a guy, even though he's sort of demanded whatever. What I believe is going to happen is I believe Rob is going to wait out to the last second to see if the guys like Valanciunas, guys like Clarkson will actually be able to get got for second-round picks. If they can get Valanciunas for a couple second-round picks and some dead weight like Gabe Vincent, that would be my view of this, especially if they play well in January. My view on that particular transaction would be hell yes. Because he's better than Jackson Hayes and he's better than Koloko. There's no doubt about that. Then you cross your fingers. You tell LeBron and AD, all right, guys, we need one more run here with the AD LeBron era. One more. Go get it. Go get a 4 seed at the very least and go into this playoffs. If this parity continues throughout the season with a couple teams taking the helm in terms of the top seeds in the East and West, but they're not really the elite, then you might have a shot if things fall your way. That's it. There's nothing else to discuss at this point. It's all, how does it play out? Can it play out in your favor? If you look at Boston's run last year, it was one of the smoothest runs you could see. I'm not downgrading the title. you still have to win those games, and they did. And you don't control that. Still, everything's legit. But the Celtics played every team in the East without their number one player in every series. And then they met Dallas, whom probably shouldn't have been in the finals. Should have been Denver, probably should have been Minnesota. And the credit, the Celtics, they absolutely made Kyrie Irving look like someone who didn't even belong in the NBA for 5 games.
We still need depth, Ollie. We just need depth, period.
I don't think any NBA team has depth. Who has depth? Cleveland? Does Cleveland have depth?
Boston, OKC, Houston.
OKC has depth?
Yeah.
Take a look at their lineup tonight. Take a look who threw that in their 10-man rotation, even with their big center out of the lineup. Still pretty good lineup they can throw out there.
So Cleveland and OKC, they just so happen to be the 1 seeds, and they have the most depth.
Warriors have a lot of guys, tough. So you're right, but they have a lot of veterans, which worked to their advantage early in the season.
Sean, what's your assessment? What's your guys' assessment on Golden State? What's going on there?
I was talking to Legend the other day on that, Sean and Joe, and I just think the DeAnthony Melton injury hurt them from a defensive standpoint. I know their situation with Kuminga, who just scored 34, but
I think
not good.
Yeah, Joe, I think it was time to pay the piper. Every great dynasty has had to pay the piper. It's just their time.
They've got a lot of guys on that team, but they are just guys.
But Gerald, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors with that defense early on with Golden State. Like, you're not gonna fool people by subtracting Klay Thompson, whose defense dropped off. It did. And bring in DeAnthony Melton, think you're going to be a top 10 defense. Joe, their veterans are also, other than Steph, are very erratic.
But Milton played good for them until he got injured, and then that was Buddy Hield was sensational, but now he's just a normal 3-point shooter again. He came back down to earth. That hurt him a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody, you regress back to the mean, though, Gerald. That's kind of what's happening here. And also, Joe, don't forget that when Golden State decided that they were going to not bring back Klay, they were very limited in what they could do.
Correct, Frank. Yeah, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so they tried to make chicken salad out of chicken. Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Joe?
Hold on. Say it again.
Chicken salad out of chicken. Yeah. And it lasted about 15 games. Because they were in first place for about a month. And then they've been looking up.
I agree with Frank. Podziemski has regressed.
But so has,
So has Triple J in Miami.
But Moody wasn't the big first-round solid pick that he was. I think he'll probably, like Kuminga, Moody, I think ultimately they'll probably have to flourish continuously, although Kuminga had a big game last night. To flourish continuously, I think they're going to have to both find spots somewhere else. I think Moody does still have a future in the league. Kuminga definitely shows you what he wants to do, but he's so miserable with Kerr and the front office because he didn't get an extension that, I think that's going to be a bad parting of the ways at some point in time on that one.
Okay. The reason why
very true, Frank.
The reason why I asked this question is, when does the ownership look at their situation in San Francisco and go, when is Jacob? Jacob still calls all the shots, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
When does he go? I think we need to change. Like, we need to blow this up. And would Steph Curry be willing to stay while they blow it up?
Oh, he's not leaving, Joe.
What are you going to
do? Joe, but I think they made the decision between which Splash Brothers is going to stay a Warrior for life. There's no way, Joe, there's no way the Warriors could depart with Steph at this point. You can't have a franchise that dynasty was born out of the Splash Brothers, and neither and not even one Splash Brother retires as a Warrior. I agree with Gerald. There's no way.
Dylan DeVille is like, thoughts on DFS to the Lakers? Is this a good trade or a bad trade?
Thanks
you guys
for
been
showing
talking
up,
about
Dylan.
this for 4.5 hours.
We'll give you the short version.
Hold on. I'm gonna. Hey guys, I just came to the show. How are you? All right. I don't know if you guys been talking about this. Yeah.
4 hours later.
Yeah. So I heard that we got Dorian Finney-Smith in trade. You guys like it? I don't know if you guys been talking about it or not. Dylan, we're just kidding with you, man. Joe, do you want to give him like the abridged version? Okay, or not?
Oh, you thought I was frozen, didn't you?
No, you were
you know how I can tell?
You were pretending to be frozen.
You know how I can tell?
You all thought I was frozen, especially Gerald Glassford.
No, that I can tell. No, because you had all 5 bars. Your router never lies.
You couldn't tell.
No, unfortunately, you were wrong, Joe.
No,
your router never lies. It says when your router goes, it shows right there next to Joe.
Your router is going. Where is it? That's where it's going.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're wrong, Joe. When you got full 5 bars, we know you're alive.
Let me. Can you let me retort to Sean's comment? Jesus.
Go ahead.
Somebody's full of around here.
No, this is
Who's more full of?
Oh, that's Joe. That's not
Joe
even
or
close.
Gerald.
That's Joe. That's not even
Gerald.
close.
Come on, that's an easy one.
Joe,
that's Joe. Not even close. I just answered that before he even finished the sentence.
Nah,
the question for the chat. Just respond with Joe or Gerald. Joe or Gerald in the chat. Who's more full of?
Empire Jeff just said you were full of hot air, so I think there you go. Joe.
Jeff's never seen me.
Joe is dangerous with that button. Yeah, I know. He found a new toy.
Seen me, that's why.
He found a new toy, Xbox. There you go. All right. Shall we wrap this up before someone else comes in like 5 hours later and asks, hey, Joe.
There's nothing wrong if they want to find out some information here. But I did want to retort to we're almost to 50. We have 2 more likes. Folks, if you haven't liked, we need 2 more to like to get rewarded by our own intel. So
he went to sleep, by the way.
To respond, he can find out tomorrow. So, Sean, they're not going to let Steph Curry retire anywhere. Understandable. That's why I was asking if that is the case and Steph is on board. Wouldn't it be smart now, right now, to start blowing this up and getting the new regime in?
You would think so, but those smug, conceited, very well-off individuals decided they needed to prioritize signing Draymond Green back, and Joe, be ready with a button. They that up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Derek says, I would not give you a like to save your life. Even though he's been watching the show for like years.
We discussed that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, that they made a mistake signing him. I would have rather have kept Clay if you wanted to keep the legends there than Draymond. But this is going to have to be Steph Curry's call, though, because Peter Guber and Joe Lacombe.
But Joe, you know as well as I do. A lot of these guys aren't, and Gerald as well. A lot of these guys aren't GMs. They're not looking at the salary cap and seeing how much money a guy can fit in with. That, and a lot of them will retort back and say, "Well, I'm not a general manager. That's not my job." Right? So I get what you're saying. Like one hand washes the other. I get it. He knows what they did, but he's also looking out for himself as well, Joe. You got to look out for number one.
I still see 49, by the way.
Yeah, I still see 49, guys. I don't know where you're seeing 50.
Darren says he would never give us a like, even though he's been watching
the horn again.
But Darren's been so gracious and kind for us in the past.
If you're gonna come talk smack, make sure it's good.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Darren's a nice guy.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know about that, but I'm just saying, make sure
his arguments with you are nice.
We're here to entertain, and when you're here, if you want to learn how
your arguments with him are entertaining,
you want to learn how to be a grown man with testosterone, not estrogen. I highly recommend you watch the show Entourage, and you'll get a chance to hear real banter from friends and friends alike.
All right. Well, we got about the 50 mark,
And
Joe.
Cut me off when I'm talking. What are you, nuts?
I'm sorry.
Cut me off. This is my show. This is the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. And since we've hit 50, looks like 51. Intel, I know you're in La La Land right now, but I'm going to have a nightcap shot, literal shot for you to commiserate what's coming here when you get back up in the morning. And again, it's been a very, very eventful day. Very, very good Sunday for the Lakers Fast Break. We got some new people coming in, some old people coming in, and some regular people coming in. Thank you for being on the show. Gerald, get ready to press the end stream button, and I'll make sure I'll shut up at the end so you don't get any extra material there like we did last time. But I wanted to, again, give a shout out to everybody out there. Give a shout out to Intel. Give a shout out to my compadres here, Gerald Glassford and Sean Grice. We will be back likely tomorrow. If not, we'll be back the next day. If not, we'll be back the next day. I mean, we plan on being every day. Until then, have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. You didn't let me finish.